The Squad Busters team has recently hosted a Q&A where they discussed the reasons on why they did what they did for the recent Heroes update. In addition, they went over some other important questions such as, when are we going to be getting more hero points? When is Turbo going to get buffed? What's in the next June update? And well, there's much more as well. So I'm going to be picking the 10 best questions that the team has responded, and then I'll be giving you guys the answer in today's video. Can we revert back to the old game? So this is an obvious question that the team has received a lot, but the basic answer and obvious answer is no, the update is not going to be getting reversed. It's been 2 weeks now, and honestly, from my perspective, I really love the new game. I've been playing so much competitive games. In fact, the background footage that you're seeing in this video is a little mini tournament I played today and won. But the team are very aware that it's hard to take in so much change and that this update happened very quickly. But the reality is, with sticking with Squad Busters 1.0 or reverting back to it, is it just wasn't working out. They couldn't really scale the game that they wanted to, and it wasn't sustainable. But another question that they got was, why didn't they just keep adding new worlds, new characters, and new modifiers? Because that's all the community wanted. They didn't want a change to the gameplay. Well, they responded to this as well by saying that they got this complaint a lot. But what they saw from the data was, since the global launch all the way up to the end of 2024, they were adding new worlds, they were adding new characters, they were adding new modifiers. But even with doing that, less and less people would play each update. So essentially, people would come to the game, enjoy it for 2 weeks, and then quit. And then each time that update would happen, less and less people would play. And that's why this Squad Busters 2.0 update wasn't about just adding new features like we already have, but it was actually about improving the game at its core and setting good foundations so the game is always fun, not just fun when there's an update. Why is Turbo so slow and limited? So there are a couple reasons to why Turbo has changed in more than one ways. Firstly, why does Turbo no longer recharge? Well, back in Squad Busters 1.0, there was a button, which is Turbo, that you would hold down to fight to do extra damage. So Turbo wasn't just to move quicker, but it was also to attack faster, which was confusing for new players who didn't know how it worked or just didn't know it was a thing in the first place. On top of that, we actually have 3 abilities to use now, a hero ability and 2 squaddy abilities. So holding down Turbo in a fight just doesn't make sense when you actually also need to be using the other spell abilities. So one reason to change Turbo was to free up your thumb so you wouldn't have to hold it down while attacking. And that's why Turbo doesn't recharge anymore, because you don't need as much Turbo, you only need it to run away. Why is Turbo slower though? Well, the reason for this is slowing down Turbo gives a lot more meaning to different abilities, squaddies, and heroes that can all upgrade your speed. For example, if you have Mortis, the hero in your squad, that makes you move 50% quicker than every other hero. If you have Chicken Clones, which is an ability, you move 35% quicker. If you have the Hog Rider while on grass, you move 70% quicker. And there's many more troops in the game that make you move quicker. So the reason the base Turbo is now slower is because you can actually get that Turbo back and some more from abilities and building up a good comp. Also, I'm sure you guys are all aware, but there's going to be a new hero dropping in June, which is going to be a speedster hero. So I assume that will make Turbo even better. When are more balance changes happening? So the team are fully aware that with this update, balance changes are going to be very important. There's a lot more to the game now than just a couple OP troops. So there's a lot more changes that need to be made. So currently the team are working on their first round of balance changes, and I assume we're going to get that in June, a big, balance change. But yeah, so 2 abilities that recently got nerfed are Bee Swarm and the Fireball, but they're also looking into buffing some underused powers. So hopefully we get some abilities that no one is using now that then become viable after the June update. And then Polar also gave us a bit of a teaser on maybe a new mechanic coming to the game. I'm just gonna let this play out.
And then there was something that I actually heard about it today, that the team were actually exploring some sort of shield mechanics as well. So I don't know, let's see.
New features may be incoming.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they're gonna do a new healing mechanic where we maybe just heal passively, in a game. What I will say is I don't want that, not anymore. I wanted it like a week ago, but now since they've done the recent balance changes that make heroes have more health, squaddies have more health, medic received quite a big buff, I don't think we need any healing mechanics anymore that isn't to do with squaddies or abilities, because the abilities and squaddies do more than enough healing for me now. When are new modes being added? All right, so this is probably the question that I'm most excited for, because from my perspective, I want new team modes. There's so much potential in this game when it comes to team-based modes. So what did the team say? Well, they're currently prototyping some new game modes, which means they're working on it, but it's in the early stages. Some of these modes are team-based, but they're also testing some new PvE modes, which is like Hatchling Run. And I'm gonna have more information on Hatchling Run in the next question. question. Anyways, the reality is though, there isn't much to share for the new modes, just yet. They're still in early prototype beta, so don't expect a new mode in the next update. Maybe later in the year, we might get some more team-based modes. When is Hatchling Run returning? So this links into the last question I just talked about with new modes. So what the team said is Hatchling Run needs a lot of changes and a balancing, because ever since the new PvP system has been added into the game, it won't work with the way Hatchling Run currently is. So don't expect it to come back before the next update in June. That definitely won't happen. But what they did say is hopefully for the June update, it might come back. So only a few weeks. Another thing they mentioned was that they want to make Hatchling Run more competitive. And the way they would do this is by adding a leaderboard or a way to see how many other hatchlings other players have collected. And you would get bonus rewards on how many extra hatchlings you've collected. Although this is not a promise that this will happen, they're just saying it's some discussions that they're having on, how to make the mode more competitive. Is Squad League going to be improved? So currently Squad League is just whoever grinds the most, wins. You don't have to be good. Well, you have to be somewhat good, but not that good. And that's mainly because lobbies are like 6 bots. So even if you do really badly, you're still gonna get trophies. So this is something that the team really love and want to do eventually. They talk a lot about making Squad League more relevant, competitive, and giving rewards that people could show off their skill with. But right now, the main focus is adding new heroes, game modes, and content. So it's not something that's going to be happening soon, but it is on the horizon of something that will happen eventually. And based on another question later in this video, I think we're going to get a Squad League change this year, but not too soon. Are we going to get more hero points? So this is something that I want a lot, but the community manager said is they've checked up on the team on the hero point situation, because it is true that it is very painful to grind hero points. They're very limited. But what they said though is before the update, maxing a new squad unit would take ages, around a year. But now with the way hero points economy has been set up, it should only take around 3 months to max out a new hero, which compared to how hard it used to be to upgrade a squaddy, they think it's better now. I would argue though that you would take a year to max out every ultimate, and now you'll take a year just to max out 4 heroes, but yeah. The team did say though that they are closely monitoring it, and they are going to continue tweaking how many hero points we get. We're also going to get more events that give hero points, hopefully more than the recent 1-year anniversary. But yeah, what I take from this is we are going to be getting more hero points, and probably not a crazy amount, but definitely some buffs. Will other troops get turned into heroes? The plan right now for the team is to add new heroes, so new characters, not turning old characters into new heroes like they've done with King, Queen, and Mortis. Although they did say if a lot of people think a certain squaddy should become a hero, maybe Dr. T, then it could happen, which honestly to me is a good thing. They should focus on adding new characters, not converting old ones. Will we get esports? Now, as someone who has won many big tournaments back in the day, and even till this day, I play a lot of like mini tournaments and mini scrims. In fact, this morning I won a duo scrim against a lot of very good players. But what the team said here is they would love to see Squad join the esports scene, and it's something that they know if it's gonna happen, they have to improve certain tools in the game. This would be the party system, replays, watching live, that sort of thing. They also said they want to rework social features as well. Now, I'm not sure what this means, but just like the previous question, this is something that they want to do eventually, but not a priority right now. What's coming out later in the year? So this is the final question that they answered. So they actually made a roadmap for themselves on what they plan to add for the rest of this year, and I'm going to read that out now. So for the second half of this year, they plan to release around 5 to 10 new heroes / squaddies, which is good. We're also going to be getting new game modes, new modifiers, and they're thinking about reworking the world journey because they think they can improve that a lot. But there's also a new world plan, which is huge. It's been a long time since we've got a new world, and I want a new world. They also want to work on social features. Again, though, what is this? What is social features? Is it clans? Because if it is clans, that's big as well. Also, they want to do a Squad League rework later in the year, which comes back to earlier, and new co-op modes. But firstly, the main goal right now is to address concerns from the May update and improve things so they can then build a solid foundation so then all these other features can come out later in the year. Now, I summarized the most important questions from this live stream, but if you want to watch the Squad Live for yourself, there'll be a link in the description where you can watch it and make up your own minds. For now though, make sure to use code Claz in the Squad Busters shop if you ever buy anything, and check out my last video on screen right here where I went over all the recent balance changes in the game.